hopefully you should be seeing my screen at this point. So this is the Viva, this is the topic center. It's actually inside of SharePoint. And just to give you a sense of what it looks like, you have this welcome page that when any user comes to the topic center, they basically see content and topics that they've been identified either through the AI as being, or that where they may have contributed to content to that topic, and the AI capabilities recognize them as a potential expert. So, do you want to be listed on this topic or not? You have that capability to define that. But then it also displays other topics that have been confirmed that this user is a expert or a subject matter expert on these different topics. So this gives you a sense of just some of the topics that I'm actually logged in here as Megan in this demo environment. I also will reiterate and agree with what Mike said. This is a demo environment, so we have a limited amount of content in it. But I've run this in production environments already, and there's a significant amount of a wealth of information that gets surfaced up by the AI through the topics. And I just based on my own experience, I'd say probably 60% of the topics get 60 or 70% get surfaced by the AI behind this. And then there's, some topics that need to be manually entered or curated. So this is just a look at some of the topics here. But if you drill into these and, you'll see the actual topic page. And when you get in there, you'll see any documents that have been pinned, who the actual subject matter experts are associated with that, any related sites, and as well as a graph of other types of related content. And this is something that I'll show you that where these connected topics feed back into the AI, so that when they find other things that are like helicopters, they'll build that association back to the drones topic. And that is all happening through the AI. Now, if we go up to our page, and I'm gonna mention one thing here too, because I'm seeing it here. So you'll notice that the items in the navigation across the top are just I got 4 items: the home, documents, pages, and site contents. Well, if you do some refreshes on this, there it goes. You'll see Get Started shows up in Manage Topics. So something's not right with this. That it seems to sometimes show Manage Topics and other times not. Anyway, Manage Topics is where your knowledge managers are going to go to actually curate the content. And what happens is there's like really 4 key areas in here. Anything that the AI generates and identifies as a suggested topic appears on this first screen. Now, I've already gone through these. I should have left some here to show you, but I've basically confirmed everything as a topic. So when we show under the Confirm tab, you can see all of the different topics that are listed in here. And, there's quite a few, but, in a production environment, you're looking at thousands. But if you go in here, you can actually look at the topic itself and see that card that Mike showed you, how it's set up, what are the people associated with it, what are the file resources that were automatically generated. And you can see it even has the alternate name in here for, the Rusty Galbraith Company is the Rusty Galbraith Company. It populated that automatically. If we click on to the view details here, you can see, again, here's the suggested people and any files that are associated with them. You have the capability to pin an individual or a document. So if you're saying this is no, it's not doing it for me. You basically saying that it's a pinned document to that topic. So if we go back in here, demo environments, there it goes. See how it's disappearing and showing back up. Okay, so manage topics. If you go under here, you can basically take one of these topics and review it and publish it. So if we say review it, You can look at that topic, go through, you can make changes to it, you can pin documents. You can also edit that content and do things like if there's other, maybe this is RGC is another acronym for that company. And everyone requires a description. So that's one of the things about the AI is it doesn't always pull back a description. So before a topic can be published, it's got to have a description associated with it. So I'm just going to put in something here real quick to basically be able to save this. But now you've got your web parts that you have available throughout the rest of SharePoint. So any other content, video streams, text, anything that you want to embed, Power BI, Microsoft Forms, org charts, anything that's, any web part that's available that's relevant to your topic, you can actually plug into your page at this point and build out that additional information. And here you can add other sites that are related. And then down here is where you can add that connected topics. So let's say that this company is, works on drones. You'll see it'll pop up the topic right there, and you can add that topic. You can add a description for it. What did we say that was? RGC, and update it, and it builds that connection. So the AI basically takes whatever the knowledge manager is doing here and pulls that in and into the rules and all to generate relationships between the different topics. So just a quick look at that topic center essentially. So, it usually, one of the things that I found is in a big environment, it can take 10 to 14 days to go through and index everything and build out all of your topics. So if you're planning something, make sure or if you're doing that type of project, make sure you plan time that it's going to take a while for the AI to go through and build all those relationships and, put all those topics together before you'll even start seeing them in here. Now, it does work through it, so it may be a few days, or it may be, longer before you start seeing those topics. But in the demo environment, it took about 24 hours for it to even show the topics the first time. The other thing that I noticed about it is when you confirm a topic, and even when you publish it here, so now I've finished that topic and I'm going to publish it. If I go back into my topic center, that topic is still going to remain under the confirmed. And it seems to take about 24 hours before eventually it does get moved over to a published topic. So whatever's happening on the back end is doing that. But from here, you can also view your topic pages for, the published actual topics. So that's kind of a high level on the topic center. And so I have a couple other things. Are there any other questions about that in there? Okay. The AI will build out, but you will still need to have users designated to either review or approve, or will you invite SMEs? Basically, you're going to invite the SMEs to act as the knowledge managers. And you have a lot of capability in terms of inside this gets set up in the admin center under setup. And when you set it up, you can actually select which sites to pull into that. You can define who the administrators or knowledge managers are, and as part of that initial setup. And the initial setup only takes a couple minutes, but as a recommendation, we recommend to let it go through and index all of the content. But then you can restrict it down to if you only want certain users administering that content, you can do that through that setup.
Hey, Russ.
Yes.
Yeah, and just to kind of follow up on, because Rachel had that question about curating topics, it's important to remember while AI is doing the bulk of the work here, we still would recommend that, you want to have human eyeballs on stuff. Yeah, as new topics, that's exactly what I was getting to. So once it goes out, like I'll use our corporate instance, right? It ran out, and I was identified on the suggested people at the top by the AI. So the people who actually are running topics, they delegated and invited me to the topics page that was created, HLS for HLS blog, and now I administer that page. So, I get notified if there's updates suggested. But I am now the owner of that. It's delegated that out. They still have ultimate ownership, but that means one central group is doing more of the handoff versus, having to curate everything themselves. But they can then distribute out that SME access and review and approval, which is really what you want. And yes, as new topics surface, you can continue to do that. We don't just make it available. Stuff isn't just auto-published. But the last thing is also, it is SharePoint site, right? So it's SharePoint pages getting generated, and there's still control over that. There's still who has access, who's even licensed to see or work with any of this. That's all there.
Yeah. And this is the setup screen inside of the admin. So, you can define what sites are used as part of the topic discovery. So if you want to restrict that down, you can. You can exclude topics. If you have topics that are, confidential information, you can basically exclude any of those topics. You can define who sees topics across the organization. Here's the permissions, who can create and edit topics, who can manage topics. And then lastly is the setup of the center, the topic center, and it prompts you for this. But what do you want the name of it, and where do you want it located within your architecture so that you can set that up. So, you got a lot of flexibility there to define what's right for your organization.